Welcome to Equip, Build, Mature. Hope you're having a great day on this Tuesday. I want to continue, as we've been doing on Tuesdays for a long time, to share a word of encouragement with you. And we'll be coming from Hebrews chapter 11, verses 32 to 34. That kind of introduces us to the narrative we're looking at today. So Hebrews 11, 32 to 34. And what more can I say? Time is too short for me to tell you about Gideon, Barak, Samson, Jephthah, David, Samuel, and the prophets, who, by faith, conquered kingdoms, administered justice, obtained promises, shut the mouths of lions, quenched the raging of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, gained strength in weakness, became mighty in battle, and put foreign armies to flight. Now, we pick up in Judges chapter 16, looking at the story of Samson. So in Judges 16, verse 4, we're told that Samson met a woman named Delilah. She was immoral and dishonest, but Samson liked her. So he began staying at her house. And the Philistines saw this as a great opportunity to get rid of Samson. So they offered Delilah a large amount of money to discover the source of Samson's great strength. They wanted to know how they could overpower him and then destroy him. So she asked Samson for the secret to his strength, and Samson lied to her. In verse 7 of Judges 16, he said, "If they tie me up with 7 fresh bowstrings that have not been dried, I will become weak and be like any other man." So the Philistines took fresh bowstrings to Delilah. After Samson fell asleep, she tied him with the bowstrings, and the men came and hid in the room, and then Delilah shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." He woke up, broke the bowstrings like burning yarn. So Delilah did not discover the secret of Samson's strength. Then Delilah told Samson. We see this in verse 10. We're in chapter 16 of Judges. So verse 10, Delilah told Samson, "You have mocked me and told me lies. Won't you please tell me how you can be tied up?" So he told her in verse 11, "If they tie me up with new ropes that have never been used, I will become weak and be like any other man." Side note here, great relationships are not built on lies like these two continue to tell each other lies. So again, after Samson fell asleep, Delilah took the new ropes and tied Samson with them. And again she shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." The men in the room saw Samson break the ropes like they were threads. This time, Delilah was extremely upset. And so she told Samson in verse 13, "You have mocked me all along, and you told me lies. Tell me how you can be tied up." We told her in verse 13, "If you weave 7 braids on my head into the fabric of a loom," so she said, okay. Then she soothed him, made him fall asleep. She wove braids tightly into the loom, and she shouted, "The Philistines are here." And verse 14 says, "Then he awoke from his sleep, pulled out the pin with the loom and the web." Well, again, Delilah, she's just extremely frustrated, extremely angry, because she wants the money the Philistines have offered her if she can hand Samson over to them. So she asked him again, "How can you say that I love you?" she told him, "when your heart is not with me? This is the 3rd time you've mocked me and not told me what makes your strength so great. How can you say you love me? You've made me look foolish and lied to me 3 times, and you still refuse to tell me where your great strength comes from." Can you imagine? Every day, this woman nags Samson to tell her, and he got so tired of it. And so finally, from being exasperated by her constant nagging at him, he told her his secret. Verse 17, "My hair has never been cut, because I'm a Nazirite to God from birth. If I am shaved, my strength will leave me, and I will become weak and be like any other man." Well, as soon as Delilah heard his words, she sent for the Philistines. And when they arrived, she told them the secret to his great strength. So after the Philistines paid Delilah what they promised, she lulled them to sleep. And after a man came and cut Samson's hair off, she shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." And he woke up. But this time his strength was gone, because God had left him. The Philistines captured him, they gouged his eyes out, and then they took him to one of their cities, Gaza. They bound him with bronze shackles, threw him in prison, and forced him to grind grain like an animal. As time passed, his hair grew back. So the Philistines had all gathered to offer sacrifices to their god Dagon. They celebrated, thinking that their god Dagon helped them or enabled them to capture Samson. As they partied, they had Samson brought in to entertain them. Verse 25 says, "So they brought Samson from prison, and he entertained them. They had him stand between the pillars." So Samson asked the man that was leading him, because he was blind, he said, "Lead me where I can feel the pillars supporting the temple so I can lean against them." All the leaders were there, and about 3,000 people were up on the roof so they could watch Samson entertaining them. Well, Samson, as he's entertaining them, asked God in verse 28, "Please remember me. Strengthen me just once more. With one act of vengeance, let me pay back the Philistines for my 2 eyes." So Samson braced himself against the two middle supporting pillars of this temple for the god Dagon. With his right hand on one pillar and his left hand on the other, he said, "Let me die with the Philistines." And when he pushed the pillars with all his strength, the temple collapsed and all the people died. He killed more in his death on that one day than in his entire life. His family took his body home and they buried him. So it's interesting to see that God used Samson to begin the freedom for Israel from the Philistines. And God returned Samson's great strength, and God used Samson and his strength to bring sudden destruction to thousands of hard-hearted, rebellious Philistines. Samson showed faith in God many times throughout his life, and especially we see in his final act. God wanted Samson to be mentioned in the chapter of faith that we read of in Hebrews chapter 11, and Samson is mentioned in verse 32. So I encourage you with this reminder in the context of this narrative. God can use individuals who are not perfect, but still have faith in God. Samson's weaknesses were obvious, and his failings were obvious. So are ours. But our weaknesses and failings will not diminish our faith. In fact, Samson's failings and Samson's flaws emphasized God's ability to work through human imperfection. Samson's faith was not just about his own strength. It was more about the glory of God. Samson's actions exposed his spiritual weaknesses, but his actions, God used them. He used Samson's brokenness to emphasize God's power and God's faithfulness. So I encourage you with this: never underestimate God's ability to use you for his kingdom purposes. Thanks, guys, for sharing a few moments with me here today. Hope you have a wonderful day and continue to allow God to use you. Keep your faith strong, keep your eyes focused on him, and despite the weaknesses or the fallings and failings that we have, we know that God can use us and God can be glorified through us. You guys take care.